YouTube and welcome to another GV anime review, and this week I'm doing a bit of a special review since I'm reviewing an anime movie. Last weekend I finally got to see KyoAni Katachi, or A Silent Voice. I have been waiting a really long time to watch this movie. I even included it in my top 5 anticipations for this year. It was getting stunning reviews and awards everywhere, so I was really excited to finally watch this movie. The story of Koe no Katachi focuses on two elementary school kids called Shoko Nishimiya and Shoya Ishida. Shoko has a hearing problem, which makes communicating very hard for her, and it mostly goes through a notebook. Shoya is the bully of the class, and it doesn't take long before Shoko becomes his victim. It even goes so far that Shoko transfers to another school. Now after that, everyone turns against Shoya. Even his friends, who also bullied Shoko, now completely ignore him. Now a decade later in high school, Shoya is a shadow. He has no friends and he can't even look anyone in the eye. He feels so tormented and ashamed by his past that it almost drives him to suicide. That is until one day when he meets Shoko again, and Shoya sees a chance to make up for what he did in the past. What made this movie so popular and appreciated, and also made the biggest impact on me, was the message that this movie brings. I found that each of the two main characters each brought one important message into the story of this movie. For Shoko, that was isolation. We as hearing people can't even start to imagine what it feels like to be deaf or have bad hearing. In the first part of this movie, the elementary school period, we got a good look into how isolated Shoko must have felt. Even if we take out the bullying part, it must be so frustrating and mind-wracking to not be able to communicate with your friends and to feel so left out of everything. Even if you can communicate through a notebook or through sign language, you're still going to feel left out. Imagine what an impact that had on a young girl like Shoko. She must have felt so isolated and alone in this world. And then, of course, on top of that, there is the mental turmoil that comes from the bullying. We can already see in the elementary school period that Shoko thinks that it's all her fault. She doesn't get mad at Shoya or at the others because she thinks that it's all her fault. And as we then see in the later part of the movie, those thoughts start to have a very negative impact on her. I'm not going to tell any spoilers here, but those of you that have seen Koe no Katachi know which scene I am referring to. Talking about Shoko, I really want to congratulate Saori Hayami for her performance as Shoko. Playing a deaf girl who then also has trouble speaking is not easy, but she actually nailed it. She brought lots of emotions into Shoko's character. As a matter of fact, she has actually played in a lot of animes that I already watched, and in a lot of them that I actually liked, like The World God Only Knows, the now airing Fukumenkei Noise, last season's Fuka, Hibiki Euphonium, Musaigen no Phantom World, Snow White with Red Hair, which I have just finished, and many more. That was Shoko's message, but the main message in this movie came from Shoya, and that message was forgiveness. Forgiveness for yourself. As we see, Shoya is immensely tormented about what he did in the past, up until the point where he actually wants to kill himself. And the problem is that Shoya can't forgive himself for what he did in the past, even when others do forgive him for what he did. And that was, according to me, the main message of this movie. We all have done bad things in the past. You might have done terrible things when you were a kid, and you might feel absolutely sorry about yourself for that. But if you are truly sorry about what you did, and those involved forgive you for what you did, then you also need to be able to forgive yourself, which is the hardest part. And Shoya's character displayed this in a very good way. Shoya literally felt like trash, like he isn't even worthy of looking at people or just being a human being. So the slow process that Shoya goes through towards this self-forgiveness was a very strong message that Koe no Katachi brought. And the analogy that was used by using the crosses over the face was very beautiful. I love this type of psychological analogies in animes, and it gave us a visual confirmation of Shoya's progress every time a cross fell off. A short word about one of the other characters, Ueno. She was a bitch. My god, she was such a hypocrite character. I really hated her. How she acted like nothing ever happened made my blood boil. Now, you could say the same about Miki. She was also a hypocrite, but she does want to make it up with both Shoya and Shoko. Ueno never had any intention of feeling sorry for what she did, and that made her, in my eyes, a truly despicable character. And a final positive point was the comedy in the form of Nagatsuka. The comedy came at the exact right moments to lighten the mood a bit in this otherwise quite serious movie, and it made me laugh at several occasions. Now, what I maybe missed a bit in this movie were big emotions. I read quite some comments of people who cried with this movie, but to me personally, there wasn't a moment where I really choked up. So in my opinion, Koe no Katachi isn't a movie of big emotions. It is rather a movie with a very strong message, as I just explained. My next negative point is quite controversial for Kyoto Animation, but hold your horses until I have fully explained why. I found that the animation quality wasn't as high as I anticipated. Now this is because my standards for Kyoto Animation are very high. For other studios my standards lie here, with like studios like A1 Pictures and PA Works in the lead. But my standard for Kyoto Animation lies over here, together with Comics Wave. I only expect the best of animation from KyoAni. And it's not that the animation in Koe no Katachi was bad, it was absolutely not. But it didn't quite reach the level that I was hoping for. And my last negative point isn't a negative point from the movie itself. But this movie's biggest problem is that it's a movie. It's a true shame that KyoAni didn't make a full anime out of this. Now they had to cram the story into a 2-hour movie, which makes that content from the manga must have been cut, and that we didn't get to see the full development of certain characters. If I once have the time, I do want to read the manga of Koe no Katachi to see this more extended development. So as a conclusion, Koe no Katachi wasn't a movie that completely blew my mind. For that, it didn't have enough strong emotions. As I said, this isn't a movie of big emotions, but rather a movie that wants to convey a very beautiful message. So because of that, I'm going to rate Koe no Katachi at 4 out of 5 stars. If you have 2 hours to spare, go watch this movie. It's one of those movies/animes that makes you think about its content. Another movie that I highly recommend watching is Anthem of the Heart. This was a movie that did blow my mind. The analogies here are so strong and beautiful. The music is fantastic, and as in Koe no Katachi, the story and the message that it brings are very powerful. Anthem of the Heart is still my favorite anime movie to date, so I definitely recommend watching it. And with that I conclude my review of Koe no Katachi. As usual, you can find the full list of all my animes and reviews over at Anime Planet. As usual, I will put a link in the description box down below. Now if you want me to review a particular anime from this list, please put it in the comments. Also, if you have a recommendation for me, put it in the comments as well. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, visit me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and subscribe to this channel for more reviews in the future. Then I will say arigatou gozaimasu and I will see you all in the next video.